Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon. And welcome to the Women Connecting Women panel for the 16th Annual East Africa Chamber Conference. For our in-person audience, as well as all participating from the other side of the Atlantic, we welcome you and we thank you. My name is Regina Hill Onyibe, Office of Economic Development for the City of Dallas. And I'd like to get my public service announcement out of the way on the front end. I'm very excited about what the city is doing right now. We are erecting, as we speak, a small business center for our entrepreneurs and our small businesses to truly have more of an impact for those small businesses that are really ready to scale their businesses. So now that I have that out of the way, let me introduce to you this fabulous panel of strong, powerful women who's coming today to bring us some enlightening nuggets of encouragement, education, information, and just some good old-fashioned food for the soul, which we can all use right about now. It's not a secret that women have been at the forefront from the beginning of time with getting things done, being change agents, futuristic thinkers, trendsetters. We think about Bathsheba, we think about Ruth, we think about Deborah and Esther, all powerful women who made things happen by any means necessary. Some of them had sisterhood support, others not so much. And in the midst of always taking care of everybody else, and especially in times like these, so often we sometimes, many times, forget to take care of ourselves. With that, we're here to talk about women connecting women. We're here to talk about women supporting women, women lifting women, and women having each other's backs. Sometimes we do a good job of it, sometimes not so much. Assembled here is a plethora of illustrious girl power, strong women who have demonstrated leadership in their own respective fields, and they are here to share some varied experiences that when we're done, we will all be better because of it. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our panelists. I'm going to introduce all of my panelists. We have two that are going to be pre-recorded. We're going to do those first, and then we'll get into our discussion after the two pre-recorded. We have on stage, in no order in particular, we have May Ayaro, Editor-in-Chief of Mana Express, a beautiful human spirit, and a courageous woman indeed. We have Miss Danielle McClelland, City of Dallas, my dear friend. She's also the president of our best organization for the City of Dallas, Black Employee Support Team, the largest diverse group within our organization, 13,000 strong, City of Dallas employees. We are the largest group. We have Unique Love. She is with the City of Irvine, NWBE, responsible for ensuring that Black and brown people get contracts with the City of Irvine. So y'all probably need to run her down after the program. We have Ms. V.R. Small. She is the CEO and founder of the Veteran Women's Enterprise Center. She is someone who had an idea, took something small, and has truly been impactful for our women veterans in particular. And we have pre-recorded Beth Plumley. She's also my dear friend. She's a lawyer, an entrepreneur. She's a philanthropist and a lover of Africa, which makes me love her. And we have Christine Brown, International SBA. So if we would play our two pre-recordeds, and then we'll get into our discussion.
Good afternoon and welcome to the East African Chamber of Commerce Conference and to the Women Connecting Women Forum. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Beth Plumley and I'm a member of the East African Chamber of Commerce Advisory Board. I'm also an attorney and an advocate for everything East African. I'm sorry that I'm unable to attend in person today, but I'm thrilled to be here to extend a warm welcome to all of our chamber members and to our conference attendees from all around the world. In 2014, the Chamber started talking about the need to address women's issues. In 2015, way before the Me Too movement, Women Connecting Women Forum made its debut at our chamber conference. Elsa, our new chairwoman, and some of our founding and longest serving women members of the East African Chamber of Commerce, and our male past chairman, Benson, recognized the need for women to network, support each other, and collaborate. There's quite a bit of research out there that supports the theory that there is power in the pack. We know that women have power, but we know that women together can make a real impact. The research shows that women who support women are more successful and more happy. Our society taught us to be competitive with one another for the few opportunities available for women. But we know that working together and lifting each other and celebrating our sisters' successes adds to the quality of our life and our own success. We also want and need men to join, to mentor women, to be intentional about providing women equal time and consideration as we move deeper into the decade of finally understanding that women make up 50% of the world population and that investing in women equally is an essential part of increasing productivity, improving childhood education, and improving the quality of all lives. Empowering women is essential for the United States and every country in the world, and this is how it starts. I invite each of you to help us improve and grow our groups. Let's now recognize that each of us is essential to our goal of making the world a better place for women. Thank you for attending today, and I look forward to our next gathering. 2020 has been a really difficult year for all of us. COVID has made it very difficult for women, and frankly, working and non-working women have suffered the most in setbacks. I'm committed to making this organization a priority this year. So I'm asking you to become a member of the chamber if you're not a member, and become active in our organization. And let's make things happen. God bless.
Thank you. It's a great honor to be a part of the East Africa Chamber of Commerce's annual conference, and an honor to speak on the panel on Women Connecting Women. Thank you to Elsa Juko McDonnell and the fabulous team at EACC for organizing this live event, and to Regina Oniabe for moderating this important panel. I am Christine Brown, and I'm the Director of Trade Policy in the U.S. Small Business Administration's Office of International Trade. Small businesses power the U.S. economy, and as they do in other countries, with women, particularly Black women, powering small businesses in the United States at an unprecedented rate. It's no exaggeration to say that women are becoming the driving force of the American economy. And women-owned businesses usually do more than just provide a livelihood for the woman and her family. They improve the community well-being overall as well. And as it is said, as women prosper, countries thrive. which is why it's even more heartbreaking that while the pandemic has brought uncertainty for all of us, it's been especially challenging time for small businesses and in particularly women-owned businesses. SBA empowers entrepreneurs and small business owners with the resources and support to start, grow, or expand their businesses or recover from a declared disaster. In the last year and a half, SBA has been focused mainly on helping small businesses recover and survive from the pandemic. My office, the Office of International Trade, our mission is to enhance the ability of U.S. small businesses to compete in the global marketplace. As businesses survive and recover from the pandemic, we want you to know that trade can be an important part of that strategy. From our perspective, trade is not just an after-COVID luxury, but a strategy for survival and recovery. Our goal at SBA is to ensure equitable access to the benefits of trade, harnessing the power of our small businesses, especially those led by women and members of the African diaspora, and we're strong supporters of the Prosper Africa Initiative and the Build Together campaign. As Administrator Guzman has said, equity is important not just because it's the right thing to do, but because it's imperative to the future of our economy. We are working hard to make sure that women and diaspora communities are aware of the programs and services we have and take advantage of them. The administrator has directed all SBA staff to be as entrepreneurial as the entrepreneurs and small businesses we serve, to be customer-centric, to meet you where you are and not expect you to come to us. To this end, we are working hard to build awareness of our trade-related programs and services, which generally fall into three baskets: advice, grants, and loans. We provide advice to help those small businesses that don't know where to start or who are confronting a barrier in their trade journey. We have a hotline that you can reach out to by email at international@sba.gov. We also have a website dedicated to helping small businesses through their trade journey, the Trade Tool website, which you can reach at www.sba.gov/trade tools. Through the State Trade Expansion Program, or STEP grant program, we provide grants to assist small businesses with export development through U.S. states and territories, and there's a STEP program here right in Texas. And as one of my colleagues was talking about a couple days ago, we also have a suite of 3 export loan guarantee programs for U.S. small businesses to support their export needs. Our trade programs and services are available to all small businesses and entrepreneurs across the United States, and we work through a network of SBA field offices and our resource partners, such as the Small Business Development Centers, where you can find free counseling and mentoring and low-cost training. And each state has counselors that are certified in international trade. SBA also has programs specifically targeted towards women. SBA's Office of Women's Business Ownership helps women entrepreneurs through a variety of programs. This office oversees the Women's Business Centers, or WBCs, which seek to level the playing field for all women entrepreneurs who face unique obstacles in the business world. WBCs provide tailored counseling, mentoring, and low-cost training, specifically geared to the needs of women and underserved communities. SBA also has a free online platform for learning platform for women called Ascent, which you can find at ascent.sba.gov. And one of SBA's newest programs is the Community Navigator Pilot Program, which will help us build and expand relationships with groups that represent underserved communities and diaspora. SBA is committed to empowering women entrepreneurship, business, and exporting, because we know that supporting women is key to our economic recovery. And when women are given the right tools, information, and connections, they become empowered to make economies stronger. Thank you for your time and attention and for providing me an opportunity to speak, and I look forward to the Q&A session. Again, if you ever want to reach out to SBA and learn more about the support we provide to small businesses looking to sell internationally, please email us at international@sba.gov. Thank you very much.
All right, all right, all right. Can we please have our pre-recorded round of applause? Both of them had a lot of really important information. And for all of you who do want to get in touch with them, we certainly know how to do that. I also wanted to say, I talked about our new Small Business Center for the city of Dallas. We are having a grand opening at the Dallas Public Library on December the 8th, and I will be getting the information to Madam Chairwoman Elsa so that she can disseminate to all. So we would love to have all of you there, all who are in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Okay, so we're going to get right into our panel. We're going to talk about a lot of things, but what I learned from being a part of the Small Business Continuity Fund, that was millions of dollars of grant funding that the city was giving out this year for those impacted by COVID. What was glaring for all businesses, but it would break my heart every day when I got off the phone, literally talking to hundreds and hundreds of people over the course of a couple of months. It was glaring that people not having their books in order. So many women were not able to access funding, businesses, excuse me, but they were not able to access funding because their P&L and everything wasn't in order. So I think what COVID did teach many of us in 2020, hopefully those who are smart business owners, is that you want to be a business owner, what you have to take care of business and having a paper trail for your money in the event something horrific like COVID happens again, that you can access the funding. And what I also found is those who did have their books in order really fared pretty well with this COVID situation. So getting into our panel, I wanted to, in no particular order, I want to give each of you 3 or 4 minutes to kind of talk about what you do to encourage women, how you encourage women, and just your journey in your respective positions. We'll start with Ms. McClellan.
So in no particular order, but we're going to start with Danielle. I love it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm Danielle McClelland. I manage a couple of divisions that have operations for the city of Dallas. And I am passionate about, of all things that I never imagined I would be, and that's solid waste. And it doesn't sound like the sort of thing that a woman, particularly a Black woman, would get excited about. But what I've learned in my 24 and a half year and 6-month career and 5 weeks and a couple of days, but who's counting career with the city of Dallas, is that one great thing about being a woman in that organization in particular is that I came up at a time when there were women in leadership in the organization. They weren't women who looked like me, but they took an interest in what I was doing, and they helped me see myself with the organization long term, and they helped me identify what I needed to learn about the organization in order to advance. And so I've reinvented my career with the city of Dallas about 4 times over the last 25 years. I've held a variety of positions, but right now I'm very passionate about recycling, so that's what I do. I mentioned that little countdown. So I've got about 5 more years to fight the good fight with solid waste. But what I'm focused on right now is helping other people in the organization, particularly other Black people, advance their careers. So the city of Dallas has a group, the Black Employee Support Team. We're a nonprofit employee resource group. And right now, that's my passion. I want to identify people in the organization, particularly Black people, particularly women, who want to advance and help them know how to do that. And so that's kind of my journey. I've been invested in by, as Arena and others have said, men and women in the organization. And right now, that's my focus, besides, the next 4 years and a couple of months.
Thank you, Danielle. We'll go now to Unique Love with the City of Irving, MWBE.
Thank you again for this opportunity.
Absolutely.
I would say that being with the City of Irving, I help minorities and women-owned businesses get contracts. And also I help them with small business development. And through that journey, I've simply met women along the way that have encouraged me, given me insight, and I think the most important thing that I've learned throughout the course of my career is first seeking to understand, then be understood. Taking in good advice and weaving and bobbing, and simply knowing how to navigate the plane. Um, Knowing what your passion is and being able to lean in on it and understand that you have to give people insight on what it is that you know in order for them to grow. Um, I could say even within the moments of me being here at this event, I've truly been encouraged by people on this panel, and just simply the stories that I've heard from across the waters from our good family in Africa. So throughout this time, I just truly have new in terms of starting my career endeavors, but being able to pivot and transition because we're simply truly a people of resiliency. That's it.
Thank you so much. That part is true. Learning to be nimble and flexible and pivot, especially in these days and times, for sure. We will now go to Miss VR Small. Tell us a little bit about what you do and just your journey, and we'll go from there.
Great. Thank you, Regina. I am VR Small. I am a Navy veteran. I'm also the daughter of a retired Vietnam veteran, and I'm very proud of my sister who's doing about 30 years as a reserve Army veteran, and she's about to go active duty again. So E8, and there's only one more level she can go in the Army, and I salute her every day for her commitment to our nation. I am the founder and CEO for the Veteran Women's Enterprise Center. It's a national initiative, but we've launched it here in Southern Dallas, and here's where we have our model facility. And it's all about women coming together. Our slogan is, connecting you is what we do. And that's because we understand that we cannot be the be-all to anybody, but we need to collaborate and have partners like the City of Dallas and Urban and other institutions that we can work with to make sure women have access to all of the resources that they need to succeed. One of the things I truly believe in is sisterhood in action, and that is beyond the words, beyond the things that we say to each other, beyond the things that we say that we want to do, to actually putting those things in action and being there for each other. So I hope to learn some new things today, to hear some things from my sisters and colleagues here about how we can really begin to put our sisterhood in action and help women connect here and abroad.
And the church said, amen. And last but certainly not least, my dear friend, Miss May Ayaro. She is editor-in-chief of Mana Express, but before that, she was IT consultant for Oracle. So tells you a little bit about courage, quitting your job and then going to start something on your own. So May, will you tell us a little bit about what you do and your journey?
Thank you very much, Regina, for this opportunity. I am privileged and thrilled to be on the panel with such powerful women. Thank you. My name is May Oyairo. I'm the founder and publisher of Mana Express, a platform dedicated to inspiring hearts and empowering minds from different cultures and diverse backgrounds. Like Regina said, I once upon a time was in IT, was in consulting, in management, and it was a period where, yes, I was flourishing, but then there was no passion. And then I took inventory of myself and decided I'll go with what makes me happy, and that's meeting needy people and hurting people and encouraging people, more or less. And I quit corporate and started doing my own thing, which was inspiring people. And that's what I've been doing since 2006. And the publication on the platform addresses issues human beings face as a whole. But then I have a passion for women because women, we go through so much, and so many of us are suffering and smiling and wearing masks, not because of COVID, but we have the mask we're wearing on the outside while we're screaming for help on the inside. So that's what my platform does, just letting people know it's going to be okay. You know, when there's life, there's hope. When there's a will, there's a way. And as long as you have a will, there's a way. And so I'm glad to be on this platform this afternoon, sharing my experience and listening to the other women and taking questions from the audience and knowing After all said and done, it is all good. Thank you.
Thank you, May. So I guess one of my first questions is about courage. We talk a lot about courage, and being Black women in corporate America and government, so often just needing to speak up and have the uncomfortable conversations sometimes when you're being looked over and passed up and all of that. Danielle, can you speak on that, maybe on that subject of having courage and how you've navigated? Because I know you've had to do some navigating in those 24 plus years and to get to the level you're at.
Absolutely. So for me, when I joined the organization, and I'm going back a little bit, when I joined the organization, I was a recent college graduate. It was one of my first professional jobs, and I knew what I knew, and I had an idea of what I didn't know, but I knew what I knew. And I knew that I was a country girl from a small town in East Texas in the big city. And I knew that I was being surrounded by smart people who knew a lot more than I did, who had more experience in the organization than I did. But I also knew what I knew because my parents had poured into me and had taught me, to be confident in what you know. And if you don't know something, it's okay to not know it if you're willing to learn it. And so I knew coming in the door that I didn't know everything, but I knew that I was a good writer, I was a good speaker, and that I could synthesize complex information. So I could take something complicated and simplify it in a way that anybody could understand it. So I knew what my strength was coming in the door. And so because of knowing my strength, I played to my strengths. And then the things that I wasn't so good at, I would keep my mouth quiet until I could learn it. And then when I learned it, then I could speak on it. And so for me, it was a matter of just playing to my strengths and being confident enough to say, I don't know when I don't know. And if I did know, being confident enough to speak up and to share what the answer is, or to give a direction, or to give my input and my feedback. What I see over the last 24 years is that young Black women in particular, are so empowered, are so confident in who they are. And every time I see a young person, I'm thinking, wow, man, if I just knew what she knows when I was her age, like where could I be right now? But I still find that, I'm inspired by other women. I'm inspired by the young people. I'm inspired by the older women who took the time to explain to me, simple things like, in the organization back then, you had to wear hosiery. And as I'm sitting up here with no hose on, I'm like, oh God, my mentor would kill me if she saw me right now. But I mean, just simple things like that. What are the expectations of the organization? And people who were willing to share it. And thankfully I was obedient enough, because that's the way I was raised, to listen to the people who had wisdom.
Thank you. Anybody else want to speak on courage? Okay. So now let's talk a little bit about it. And we're going to get into questions as well too, but I've learned these are the crux. We need to get to the crux of a lot of things of why so many women don't succeed. A lot of it is fear of rejection. A lot of it is just not being confident. A lot of it is not knowing how to say no and when to say no. So does anybody want to chime in on when you've kind of had to diplomatically learn to say no over the course of your career when you knew that may not be a popular situation? Oh, nobody said no. Oh, that's just me. That's the one. That's why I'm always getting in trouble.
Not at all. I could definitely chime in on that. One of my best friends is a flight attendant, and so within that, they always tell you have to put the mask on yourself in order to save somebody next to you. And within the public sector, you're always having your hands in the pot, and you're always being pulled and nimbled and trying to figure out how to navigate.
Yes.
And then even speaking with those different areas that you highlighted, also not being overwhelmed and knowing it's okay to not be okay. Yes. Finding a creative way to say no. I love you, but no. It's allowed me to do what I'm doing and do it well, because it's great to be a jack of all trades, but you have to know how to master the one that you have your hand on.
Absolutely.
So I've had to simply learn a kind way to say no, because we could speak about it in terms of being a woman and then a Black woman in government. It can be taken almost as though you're being overly passionate is the word that you might hear.
Translation, angry.
Yes.
Angry.
Hello, somebody.
Angry Black woman.
So that's the code words that are used and the microaggressions and understanding how to navigate those planes, but simply staying true to yourself, because if you don't do your job well, guaranteed somebody else is gonna do it and or replace you, or they're gonna say that you didn't do it right. So you have to be, in order to do well, you have to be able to simply say, hey, I got my hand in this pot. I'm okay. Thank you. You know, that's
And
it.
no.
And no.
And no. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, Regina, I'm going to speak to the no when we talk about organizations, because being the leader of a nonprofit organization, I know that a lot of women and a lot of minority women are passionate about serving their communities, and so they start these nonprofits to support and provide the resources that aren't being provided to them through other organizations. But one of the things we have to understand as leaders is that you have to have a mission and you have to stay true to your mission. And so we find so many organizations find themselves either overwhelmed or they end up going out of business simply because they're chasing dollars instead of the mission. And so I just want to make sure that we understand and rethink every day. Every day I think about what our mission is, and you never want to have to turn down money, but I've had to turn down money from people who have tried to take us off mission, who don't understand our mission or don't value our mission. And then also people that try to get you to do, as my sister said, more than you can do, as if to set you up for failure. So know your limitations, know what you can actually do, be true to that, and then stick to that in your organization. And as a leader, sometimes you have to be the one to say, no, we're not going to go in that direction, or no, we're not going to take that funding. Maybe you can't meet the reporting obligations, or maybe you can't meet the numbers or the requirements of that money. So just keeping that in thought as we think about how we serve our communities and how we lead as women. Everything is not for you.
That's a good word. That's a good word. So first of all, I wanted to just tell everybody who, if you haven't joined the East Africa Chamber, please do so. I promise you, you will be glad you did. There are so many excellent opportunities throughout the year to truly highlight your business. There's a wealth of knowledge and information, and the networking is fantastic. I talked about my work at the city, but how I got to the city, just so you all know, I came from a Fortune 100 company, Hewlett Packard, to come be the Africa liaison for the city, responsible for our bilateral trade and cultural exchange opportunities. And in that time, I've gotten to travel across the continent of Africa and truly begin to understand the needs of the women in particular. That's my passion. And I know that the chamber, as far as for East Africa, my stronghold is in West Africa, but for East Africa, this chamber has been hands down a beautiful piece of information for everyone that is really interested in scaling up their businesses. And for my African American people who are in the room or online, if COVID taught you that maybe you need a plan B, or you need to think outside the box and you want to expand your businesses internationally, this is a great organization to truly bring you in, to help mentor you and get you the connections that you need. A lot of people fear doing business with Africa. The media does a number on Africa, we know that. And so being in an organization of people who know the language, the lingo, the people, the decision makers, it's empowering for those of you who are interested. I just wanted to say that. So I want to also let everybody know there are no dumb questions. Any questions you have for our panel and any questions that you may have for our two pre-recorded, I can certainly get information to them and get back to you on that. But wanted to go ahead and open it up for questioning. Can we do that now? Do we have any questions going on? Okay, all right. Hold on. Yes, my beautiful sister. I can't use my. Oh, can't use mine because I need to talk to her too. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. First of all, let me congratulate the East African Chamber of Commerce for this wonderful event they've put together. And my name is Abshiro Halaki. I'm from Kenya. Of course, the subject of women is very dear to me, and so I had to go to 2 different meetings, but run here. Now, first of all, let me congratulate women business owners, business practitioners, and everything else in between that you do. And I know we're very much represented in NGO world, we're very much represented in business. But the one thing that we're missing the point on, by the way, I'm a politician. I don't look it, but I am a politician, is that we are not considering politics. How many of you would consider politics? Fantastic. Because we're missing the point. We're excelling in NGO world, we're represented in everything else, but where consequential change seems to happen, especially in Africa, where business is so intertwined with politics, where resources are driven by politics, I want the women to start thinking politics. So, congratulations. I love you guys. You're excelling at what you're doing. But let us not ignore politics. Let's just look at it where I come from. I've been one of you. I've been in the corporate sector. I've been in the NGO sector, and I have here my big sister, who was a speaker in the Parliament of Uganda, and I'm sure she will agree with me. The consequential change that women want is actually on the table of politics.
Yes.
The consequential change, the next level actually for us as women is going to be politics, because the politics is driving the environment in which we do business. The policies and politics is driving the resources that come to, and so, I'm going to challenge the East African Chamber of Commerce. Next time, we're going to grow to the next level, which is the politics and how it affects business. We cannot just talk about on the side and talk about business, and we're not even considering politics. I mentor young girls. I go to Alliance High School and I say to them, how many of you want to be politicians? And everybody's just not wanting to be. The women don't want to be. Then we complain or make for us the laws that will give us, preferential treatment, yet we're not willing to get our hands dirty in politics. So it's not really a question, it's a challenge to us as women that let's start. I know the experience you have in the other sectors are going to serve you very well. And I know we were talking about courage. Let's have the courage to go into politics. That's my message.
That's a
because that's the only
message.
place. That's the only place we are going to change our lot. Because I worked for the Red Cross for a long time. I worked in the energy sector. And then it reached a point where I realized I thought I carried the world on and I was doing such big deal things. But it wasn't until I came to Parliament that I realized all those little incremental things will not change us. We will have 200 years to catch up with our menfolk. We love them, but we want to be, if not equal, to be on equal terms in certain things. So my message is one, let's have the courage to consider politics. It's a business as well. I thank you.
Thank you so much. What a fabulous word. And I will just say this. We're talking about women connecting women, and we're talking about truly having each other's backs. For women to truly get into politics, it takes cold, hard cash, and it takes people truly getting behind you to help you do that. So we can talk about politics, and you are so right, it is critical, but we have to have the backing of the community, not just lip service. We have to have people saying, okay, I'm gonna donate to this campaign. She's saying the right things, and we have to get behind each other. So, and we have to show up.
There's a lovely organization that helps women. It's called She Should Run. It's a nonprofit, and it helps educate women on what it takes to lead and what it takes to run a campaign and to win successfully. And so anyone who is interested, that's one organization that I'm familiar with, that I've been following and been getting educated through. That is a great resource.
Beautiful. That's a beautiful question.
And if I can chime in on that as well, we've had wonderful conversations sitting at the table before. Having a global perspective in terms of traveling to Ghana for Texas Southern as a global ambassador, I was able to gain insight, and it all came full circle when we were sitting at the table talking about women in politics. That is something that is truly taking off. Especially now with the day and age that we're in, speaking from the perspective of a millennial, our voices, and also knowing your ministry, so to speak, knowing that for me, it would be so for me to simply encourage, listen, and motivate somebody within that area, because I just thank you for that.
It was a beautiful question. Thank
Okay,
you.
we got one here and then next there.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, panelists, I'd like to honor you. It's a privilege to sit at your feet today and to really glean from your knowledge and your years of experience. I also would like to honor the women that are sitting in this room because of just, yes. When you think about what we've been taught, and I love the message of coming together and linking arms. So I function in healthcare. As I said yesterday, I'm functioning primarily in the marketplace as a chaplain for one of the hospital chains here in the Dallas area. So I'm recognizing and I'm seeing a number of health needs that are impacting women. I'm going to highlight one because this is the generation that is most targeted, which is the reproductive years, and COVID, and how it's affecting these women that are coming into the hospital and their babies. So my question, panelists, is in terms of the top 3 health needs for women in Africa, could you please list them?
Thank you.
The top,
You want to take 2 or 1?
Let's take one at a time.
that's a very good question. The top 3 healthcare needs in Africa, that would maybe be better answered by some women in Africa. No, truly, is there someone in the audience who could help with that?
Maybe Viola can take
Viola?
You guys are using me.
We're going to use you, girl.
I'll answer that
We're leveraging our resources.
and I'll make my comment. My name is Viola Llewellyn. It is such a thrilling pleasure to be with you. I'm from the other side of the continent where we're shorter, bigger, and eat spicier food, which is why we're more disruptive than you. Anyway, the top 3 things. Mortality during childbirth, okay? We're still affected by AIDS. It's not gone away. Don't pretend it has. So that's one. But the one that is unspoken, mental health. Let us not forget. Smiling with a mask on, acting like everything is okay, and on the inside, absolutely dying with no ability to turn to anyone. Your mind affects your health, your spirituality, and what you convey and carry on to children. It is a scientific fact that generations down the road, the health of a human being can be traced back to the conditions in vitro while that child was in the gestative process in their mother's bodies. And it's not because something physically happened, but the mental assault brought on by poverty, brought on by sanitation issues, brought on by shame over women's issues, menstruation, all those things that everybody wants to pretend it's not going on. Now, I made a facetious comment up there, women are the bouncers of the planet. You can't get here on woman less, and I'm sorry, I'm going to be rude. If a woman doesn't lift a leg at the beginning or the end, you cannot get here. You can't. So, my question to you, lovely, smart, birthing human beings, where is the gap between They have fallen out of our bodies. Now they're ruling the world with bad manners and ineffectiveness. And in your own lives, what do you think you wish you could have, should have done? Anytime you've had to encounter a young male or an annoying male at work, because that's what's affecting health.
You have preached today.
Benson, I hope you're
Preached
taking
today.
notes.
I just want to say this to you. God has a sense of humor. I adopted a beautiful baby boy. He's now 6. I've had him since he's 2. And the beautiful part about that is having a baby boy older, you get to pour into him differently. So mine will not be that disgusting, overindulged, unappreciative of woman man. He's going to make somebody a fantastic partner. So I'll just say that.
Okay, let's hear from a man here. I think Dawoodi, you are entrusted with defending us. How's that?
So, my name is Dawoodi Abe, and I hope
We'll go back.
I'm not going to offend anyone, but I'm going to be honest. First of all, you know, one of the things that in you people who have either children or brothers, you have male relatives and so on. I think one of the things that probably most parents have to stop doing is to say, boys will always be boys.
Yes. Thank you for that. Yes.
Now, secondly, and I say it from experience, you know, and I'm not going to say everything. I have brothers and sisters, probably more than any of you here, from a single mother. Okay? The one thing that I think my parents did, and I'm saying my parents because my father and mother, what they did is this. When we were growing up, they did not say she's a female or a male. We did things based on age. Okay? So when you were 6, you cleaned the house. When you were 8, you learned how to cook. Okay? When you got to high school, you learn how to drive. So it had nothing to do with you're a male or a female. And I can tell you, one thing my dad said was, if you know how to cook, you don't have to rely on your wife, because you can do it yourself and you're not going to be hungry. And guess what? I'm glad that they did that. So that's all I can say.
Thank you so much. I wanted, Danielle, she wanted to answer the actual question.
Yeah. So the question was, what do you tell your children, or from the moment that you have them and then they're an adult and they're on their own? What I'll say is, I became a parent also later in life, way later. At 32 years old, I married a man who had a teenager, and suddenly I'm a mom to a teenage boy whose mother and father did a really good job raising him, but the nature of our relationship was different because we didn't have that, the traditional bond, but we have since developed our own bond. And that's because I spoke to him and speak to him as a young person, as he's an adult now, so as an adult. And one thing that I respect and love and appreciate about my son, and he is mine, because if I pray for you and pay for you, you're mine. So one thing that I love and appreciate about my son is that he values women. He saw his life growing up and the difference between having his father not in the house for the entire time that he was a young person, and it made a difference in how he parents. And so me sharing with him that I respect him for the choices that he's made and how he's raising his family, I think it makes a difference. And I think it's important when we see young people doing what we consider the right things, that we reinforce that, whether they are biologically ours or not. And also when we see young people doing things that are not things that we consider the right things, that we have, someone said it earlier, the courage to tell them this. And so it starts with relationship. And so as we develop relationships with young people, whether they're ours biologically or not, we have a voice and we have an influence. Because I was watching last night, oddest of things, I was watching the TV show Blackish, the sitcom, and in it, the characters were determining that one of their children had did something they didn't like, and so they were going to spank them. And this wasn't something that they did in their house, but the guy was so mad. The dad was so mad. He was like, "You're going to get a spanking." Long story short, he didn't spank the kid. What he did was he talked to me and said, "You've disappointed me." And that had more impact than the spanking. Now, I'm not advocating for one or the other. I got my butt whooped. I think I turned out just fine. If I'd had my own kids, I'm pretty sure they would have gotten their butts whipped too. But, you know, I think it's important to develop the relationship, to have expectations, to share them, and with respect with young people at whatever age, I think they respond to that.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Okay, we got one here, Sister Karen.
I love my sister.
Hey, everybody. My name is Karen, and I just want to thank our senator because of encouraging women to go to politics. I know that's the way, and I totally agree. Because, like, for me, I'm very biased. I look for strong women, and I vote for them. Because for real, I know when women are in that parliament, things are going to be better for many women. And I know maybe I'm not one of them. I was very political when I was young. For right now, I don't want to be there. I just want to push you guys there. And so it's true, unless we go in the parliament, we go to that Congress, so many things will be passed that are against women, businesses, minority, and everything else. However, I have a question for you guys. We are talking about the minority, and I've listened to the SBA lady, I've listened to you, and I have listened to Danielle, but I have a question for you guys. Now, I'm one of the minority. If I can gather women here, that's the question. If I can just take women here and gather them and maybe start to invest as minority and maybe form whether it's a nonprofit or an LLC, form a group whereby we have money and we are looking to invest, does that fall in your category to help us? That's my question.
I'm sorry, does that fall in the what?
In a category to be helped as a minority group. If I can gather, let me say a 200 women, and maybe we start giving 200, 300 there, all of us together, and we have some money and we want to be helped by the government, or maybe on those SBA or anything, does that fall on your category if we want to do that?
I don't think so, but when you're talking about that, you're kind of, you don't need the government for that. When sisters come together like that and want to put their money together, you don't need the government for that. I know that microfinancing is not a big thing in America, but it could be. Here it's more based in Africa, but when you have sisters coming together like that, you don't need government programming.
Yeah, okay, we don't need government programming, but my question is, can we get any assistance whereby it can boost that in one way or the other?
I don't know if that does anybody have an answer to that?
Yeah.
So basically, she's saying she needs to. Is it on? Yeah. So basically, you want to start either a nonprofit or a business investment group. So we don't do startups, but we can definitely connect you to organizations that do startups. Our focus is not on nonprofits, but we know several providers in the industry who are. So that is a legitimate investment group, and you want to form it legitimately, and that's what she's saying. And so yes, if you speak to me or give me your information, I can connect you with some individuals who can help you if you want to pull a group like that together. Also, the Texas Women's Foundation has several giving circles, so you might want to talk to them about starting a giving circle up under them, and then they would help you manage that money and manage that whole process until you're ready to move out on your own.
Okay.
Beautiful.
If you attended the financial session yesterday, we did talk about some ways that we can help businesses, small business owners, women-owned businesses, and things like that. So you probably want to try and visit that YouTube channel again and just look at some of the things that the panelists talked about. One of the things that the SBA gentleman mentioned was some of the SBA sponsored organizations like SCORE, for instance, or Small Business Development Center, which is run by, I believe, the city government. If I'm not mistaken, you can correct me there, but the Small Business Division can help. SCORE really helps you build a business plan. It's a group of executives who've retired from corporate America, and they help you create a business plan, for instance. If you're looking for somebody to work with you in creating an LLC, these organizations that are SBA sponsored can help you get there. So there is help for sure. And what you're suggesting is actually good. It's raising capital.
Yeah.
You know, find a bank, put those monies in there, and show up with your business plan and let them know what you're looking to do, because there are financial institutions there who will lend you money to do the things that you need to do. So there's solutions there. I am a banker by profession, by the way. So if you need some additional help, please reach out to me. I do commercial business banking, commercial banking. So if you need help, you can reach out to me as well. Thank you.
I wanted to add to what that young lady just said, and I'm going to make a shameless pitch too while I'm making the ad.
Please.
So on October 20th, we're having our 4th annual National Business Women's Week Conference, and one of our sponsors is JP Morgan Chase. And one of the presenters is going to be speaking about diversity in funding for organizations. And what she said to me, I didn't know, was that only about 3 out of every $10 comes from the banking industry. There are several other ways to get money for your business that as minorities and women, we are not effectively utilizing. So I encourage you to sign up, to come to that session, and we'll be in the morning, and at least find out where are these other venues, where are these other streams of money that I'm not just obligated to the bank, but there are other ways and other venues. And you just need to be aware of them and then know how to access them effectively. So I encourage you to get connected. Or you can get LinkedIn at the veteranwomensec.org. That's veteranwomensec.org. And we're on Eventbrite. And this is our 4th annual National Business Women's Week Conference.
Thank you. And let me just piggyback on that for 1 second. Some other non-traditional lenders, Lyft Fund and People Fund, they are a little bit more gracious with your credit scores and things like that, outside of traditional banking. Yes, ma'am.
Specifically, we're talking around a very dangerous, well, not dangerous, a very interesting donut hole. Madam Senator, is that how I address you? Your comments are related to the lady's comment over there. Please forgive me. I know you don't know me, and if I upset you, I beg your forgiveness. The tendency for Africans to run to governments for solutions, for every damn solution, is part of our problem, and that's why some young women do not want to go into politics, because they do not know how to separate the idea of independent wealth and growing a business and how to do that with the effectiveness that we expect to see when change is effected in African society. The two are not necessarily the same. How many times have any of you seen somebody who's really, really smart and clever and say, oh, you should go into politics? Not necessarily. However, all human beings, especially of African descent, should have political awareness, and they should have financial literacy and intelligence. The government is not the source of your wealth. The government is there to collect your taxes and make your laws and ensure that as the private sector is growing, that the foundation, the ecosystem is going to make sure that the velocity of capital whips around in a way that wealth is distributed correctly. When that is done, political wealth becomes respectable. So that is why I call it a dangerous donut hole. The two are related, but you need to understand how they are connected. SBA is everything you could ever want. And Africans are the original bankers. Susu, Partner Money, Jangi, you name it. We have always been finding ways to do creative, effective capital and risk sharing and credit extension outside of new, modern, post-colonial, slightly white banking systems. We've been doing that crap ourselves. We already know how to do this. Don't ask again.
You have preached today. We have another question here. This is
Good
excellent.
afternoon, and thank you to all our panelists. Now, I've heard this statement, I don't know how true it is from your experience. There's been several quotes that say that women are women's worst enemies. From your experience, what has it been? And then to my sister senator from Kenya, I agree with you. You don't have to be in politics to be a leader. We can all lead in different ways. But yes, those who can go to politics, fine. If you look at the statistics of Kenya, the population is 53.31% are women. Why don't we have a woman president? What are we doing wrong? Look at what we did during the last political elections in the US. What did we do? What are we doing, our women? What are we not doing? Are we truly our worst enemies? Are we going to have a woman Kenyan president now that we are 53.31%? All right.
It's why I started like I started. We have to have each other's backs, and we can be our own worst enemies. And whenever we come together like we need to, God help all of us, because it's going to be something powerful indeed.
Okay. We have, go ahead.
I wanted to say to the young lady's question, don't believe the hype. See, society has been telling us that when we go into these organizations, there's only room for one. And if you believe that, then every time another woman comes along, you see her as competition. It's a fight. Instead of your collaborator. So stop buying the hype, because the table is not just one. If there's no room for you at the table, I heard somebody say, and I love to build another one and make room. And we can make room for each other if we stop believing the hype. The way she got what she got and the way we're gonna get where we're going, because really she said it, 53%, 51% in America. How come we don't have more women? Because we're buying into the hype that somebody else can do it better than you, that you need to stay in your place, that, only one can be in the limelight. Yes. That's not true. There's enough light for all of us. And that's why I said sisterhood in action. Start talking about it. We got a lot of talk. Talk. We say all the good stuff. But we walk out of this room and we won't even give somebody a ride. You take their card and you don't call them back. There's nothing wrong with taking somebody else's idea, but the Bible tells you, give credit where credit's due. So say, I got that from that sister over there. It was a beautiful idea, and what I did was I added this to it. Because what you're doing is trying to claim something that's not yours, which means you're not satisfied with you. You're not confident about you, because if you are, you can admit, I got that from this beautiful sister. I got that from that beautiful sister. And then I added something to it to make it mine. We get angry at each other because we're hurting each other, because we won't be truthful. We won't walk with integrity. So stop talking it and start doing it. Do it. Be somebody's sister. You don't have to worry about these kids. They're all our future. If they're messed up, we're going to be messed up. So you need to be somebody's big brother, be somebody's big sister. Be the change you want to see. Stop asking somebody else to do it. We each have to do our part. And if we're not, then we can't complain. We can't complain.
Amen. Okay, we have one question here, and then we'll circle back over there.
Y'all about to make me start shouting. I'm trying to be diplomatic sitting up here. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I want to thank all the ladies up there, but I really want to ask either one of you or all of you. I think that the parliamentarian from Kenya made a very powerful case. And the lady, I think I'm not sure which country? Cameroon. I didn't want to mess that up. She also made a really good point, and I want to see if y'all can think about it from your space. We do need to have and to see ourselves in government. Whether we like it or not, Government makes policies that allow us to do the things that we're doing. I want to take an example of Texas. One day, Texas had a woman senator. She was a Republican. But I can say that when Kay Bailey Hutchinson was in the United States Senate, when it came to issues that affected and impacted women, she tended to be more friendly to those issues than when men are there. So I want to see how y'all can encourage our young daughters to run for office. It's really not about whether we agree or don't agree, but until we say politics is business. If you are doing your business, she's doing her business, we need the next time we come, and I'll ask my friend Farid and Elsa, we need to see some female politicians on the panel, because we need to be able to speak the language. Men feel comfortable to speak about politics.
Good idea.
Issues, policy issues, healthy issues, business issues. We understand where we are, so we can talk about it. But if you cannot talk to us back to address what that young lady said, then we're still not comfortable to make friendly policies to us.
Thank you.
The other coin, the other side of that coin is being present and being visible and having the backs of our women who are in leadership. But the other part, and that's a part that we can all play, whether we want to be in politics, quote unquote, or not, and that is to hold them accountable, the people who are elected to represent us. So when we vote, and when we, not just when we vote, but when they vote, and when there are proposals that are out there that we're hearing about and that we're learning about, making sure that they understand where we stand on those issues and letting them know whether or not we support the positions that they have voiced that they are supportive of. And that's a place where, and I don't know if it's so much the case in African nations, but I know in the United States, that's a place where Black people in America fail. We'll vote for someone, and then they never hear from us again, and we never hear from them again until it's election time again. That is where we lose our power as a people. Everyone is not going to have the finances, the courage, the interest, the time, or the intellectual capacity to serve in an elected position. For the women who do, we need to be there for them, to support them, to encourage them, to contribute to their financial, to contribute to their campaigns for re-election. But we all have a role to play in societies where we elect our leadership. We've got to hold them accountable and stay in touch with them.
That's a good word.
Okay, Senator, please.
Thank you very much. I think, just listening to the room and the intellect and the ability to analyze and almost take responsibility for how we're going to fix the men, and why is it even our problem? Why aren't we just going to focus on ourselves, go for the politics and do the real things and turn the tables? Or I know you're raising a good boy, and why are we taking responsibility for raising the men? Yes, of course, we're naturals and we're women, but again, if we looked at it as, okay, I have boys and girls, I'm raising them equally. The girl comes out to be so different from the boy. How is this my fault? And now, if we sit here and say, what are we going to do about the men that are running the world wrongly? Now the burden of fixing them is again ours. But then with politics, we're saying, well, we don't have the resources, we don't have the capacity. If there's one place where you don't even need intellectual capacity, it's politics. Trust me, you tell me, you had the president, you tell me. Now, because women have to have the perfect intellectual capacity, it's not true. I am telling you from inside. It isn't. So basically what I was trying to say, I'll just give an example. when I worked in the NGO world, and there was no connectivity in where I come from, we were doing these financial transfers, and I would beg the telcos, the Safaricom, the telecommunication companies to give us what we call masts around the northern Kenya where there's no electricity and there's no connectivity. And they gave me a charity thing, 2 masts in the refugee camps that they had the biggest concentration of refugees at the time. And I was very grateful, and I had flown them there and told them how we're doing a good job. I come to Parliament, and I was chosen the ICT vice chairperson. Then I learned that in the legislative agenda, a member of Parliament has the same powers as a judge to summon somebody and to make things happen. So I'm like, wait, I have powers like a judge? So I summon all the MP or all the ministers and ask, why are there 222 locations in the country that cannot even reach anywhere on 2G connectivity? Before they came before us, they advertised all of them, so that by the time they come, they say it's in process. But in 5 years that I worked for the NGO world, I got 2 masts as a corporate social responsibility. And that's the reason why I'm saying, in the political space, you can push really consequential change. And do not wait for the perfect time when you have so much money, for the time when you've studied enough, for the time when the intellectual capacity has. There are idiots in politics that are doing things on a daily basis while we stay away trying to get it perfect. We need to just show up. I came into politics because I was volunteering for my party on the side, and each time I didn't sell enough registration, I would write my name on it, and I was 257 times a member. So they thought, gosh, she really likes politics, but it was because I wasn't selling enough registration, and I didn't want to look like I was selling and eating the money, so I was paying for it, then I was giving it back, and each time that became my registration, and I looked like I really wanted to be a party member, and I was 257 times a member. So without even realizing it, my name was put forth by this person who really wanted to be in politics. But then being there now, I should have been there when I was 18 and a half. As soon as I, right? So I'm just saying, there's so much, because the policies that drive business, the resources that go to our kids are in politics, because that's where the laws are made, the policies are made and influenced, and that is where then the consequential change can happen for us. I'm not saying stop doing what you're doing, and I know my sister is excelling in her work. All of you are excelling in what you're doing. But if we just said, let's try this, you might realize you can fast track a lot of the things that you're doing that have perhaps the constraint to not to not explode into something really big. 2 masts in 5 years, and all 222 locations in a few weeks, because a judge, a parliamentarian, has asked the parliamentary question to ask why. So this is what my experience has been, and that's why I'm sharing with women. Let's consider politics as business, because it's so intertwined, especially in Africa. I know in other parts, perhaps politics can go on their own and business can go on its own. In where we come from, it's so intertwined that we must not leave it in the hands of people that don't care about the future and play politics with the future of our children. That's all I'm saying.
Appreciate it. And we receive what you're saying, sister. We really do receive what you're saying. We do.
Hang on. We have a question here, but Senator Billy.
Yeah. Thank you. Let's give Abshira another hand clap. I'm sorry I'm not the moderator, but she has made a great case for what I wanted to say. Yes, so I will not go much into it, but politics is life. Politics is business. Everything we do it's affected by the decisions made in Washington for you guys and the rest of the capitals in other countries. So we cannot ignore politics and say let's focus on business. In Africa, we have many cultural issues that we are dealing with. Only if we have women up there have those cultural issues been dealt with. For example, female genital mutilation was a big issue. Until we had more women in parliament, now it is against the law to even think it. It's now against the law. It is in the constitution. And there had to be women to change that law and put it in the constitution. So I want to encourage all of you women, wherever you are, join politics. As Senator Bushiro says, the most foolish people are in there. They only abuse people and get what they want. They just think so long as you can make noise, you can get what you want. And they do. They just make noise and get it. Make noise and get. So like, why shouldn't we also just make noise and get it? We'll correct later. But for now, please just join us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And if I may, can I please chime in on that? Thank you guys, and I truly admire you guys for going into politics. As I can say for me personally, that's not my ministry. But what I will say is that through hearing these conversations, it's more and more evident that through a global perspective and lens, you understand that we are one. We're here in America as African Americans. You're there in Africa. And we have a lot of the same issues, whether it come from healthcare, when she mentioned birth mortality, when you're talking about politics and how it's affecting us directly. We're having that issue here in Texas regarding abortion laws. So I couldn't agree with you more. But then I also want to state the fact that it's important, and if I can't say this enough, doing it on a micro level. Understanding that within your community, and that's something that we have been doing for years, eons. Simply being that activist and being that face within your immediate community and making change. And then it does translate in order to becoming that senator. Because they see that person there on a regular basis, because if it wasn't for the people that were in my community, I wouldn't be here at all. Because I've seen a lot of women that were making moves and making strides, and it started in the church, and then it moved beyond. So simply understanding, if I can't say it and stretch it enough, is saying that we are one. And once we become from across the waters in here and understand that, gosh, you are truly inspiring me in this moment, because that's not my ministry, but man, I feel like I need to go. But it's truly understanding that we are one.
Thank you so much. Do we have any questions online? Okay, just a moment. No questions online? Okay.
Thank you. Now, I've been sitting quietly, but I think I've been provoked into sharing my information. I think I'm the most senior of the politicians in this room. I've been in parliament since 1989. I've grown up in parliament. And I'm responsible for many, many things. But I want to start with the Kenyans. The amendment of the Kenya Constitution to create county seats began in Uganda. It began through a visit of the Kenya women parliamentarians to Uganda. And they told us about their experiences, the small numbers, etc. And we started the lobby together across the border. So we started working with the Kenyan women, with the political parties. I led many delegations, including talked to Mr. Moi at that time, who was the president. So the journey began, and eventually the constitution was amended. And the Kenyans now got, it's like 10 years now, 15? Sorry? Your new constitution, how old is it? Oh, it's not 10, 12 years. 12 years. So we were part of it. I was part of it. Now, I've done many things, as I said, as a parliamentarian, but it's true that if you are in a position, you can make changes. For instance, the law on trafficking in Uganda was moved by the Women's Caucus in parliament, not by the government.
I'm sorry, did you say trafficking?
The law against trafficking, women and children, was moved by the Women's Caucus in the House. It became, not the government, it became a law. The law against torture from Parliament, the back bench. The law on domestic violence, from the back bench. The law on female genital mutilation, from the back bench. Every year, I go to the part of the country where there is mutilation. I've been going for like 20 years. I go every year to campaign against genital mutilation. This district, that district, that district. I've done it for about 20 years. And it has come down because there's a big voice. So, oh, there's somebody big talking about this issue, so we should stop it. Another classic one is about our committees in the House. I've been the speaker, by the way. When I first became the speaker, we were setting up committees of the House, standing committees and so on. So I asked the whips, who are all men? Can I have the names of the new chairpersons? We have 22 committees, so they got 44 names of 44 men. Yes. So I said, no, this is not okay. Can you go back? I'm giving you 1 week. Come back with a new list. They came back with exactly the same list. So I said, this is against the Constitution. Go back, and they did not. So I said, okay, for the first session, I'll let it be. I amended the law. I amended the law to say 40% of the chairs must be women. If I was not in that chair, it wouldn't happen. No man would have done it. So yes, it's important to have the women in positions. It's important to use our positions. I have used my position, and sometimes I've used it in favor of the women. Thank you.
Thank you. Guys, this has been fantastic. We are unfortunately running out of time. Do we have one last question from anyone?
One final comment. That's someone you get an answer.
Oh, I think he's saying I didn't answer a question that was asked about when
women become president.
When women, we have to start by showing up at our, first of all, I'd like to echo
what is the question? I'm sorry, what are you answering?
He's saying that when
Somebody has asked to clarify or to comment on when the question was raised, when are women, we're going to have a woman president?
Oh, okay,
Yes.
okay.
I don't know if I'm fit to answer that question, but let me just attempt. But before I say anything, I'd like to echo my sister's thoughts that the narrative that women don't support women or women are women's worst enemy is just a narrative and not true at all. Because a lot of us go to women when we are in trouble. The first person you go to is not a man. Trust me, even if your husband, even not your husband, you'll run to your sister. So that is just a narrative. And exactly the same things that men would do would be considered a cat fight for women, but for men, it's just the normal human beings fighting, right? So again, let's not be too hard on ourselves on that, and I think that's just a wrong narrative. But about maybe when women will become president is by first showing up in the lower level. When I graduate to being a president, because I have showed up in the politics, then that is where the journey begins, and that is why I'm saying to women, please consider from the lowest level and let's be there. Because first of all, if we're not showing up, we're not there. We don't exist, and therefore we must exist before then we become president. But that having been said, we need to vote for women, but the issue around women not voting for women in Africa is a resource issue. It's an issue of the rights of women, that a woman perhaps feels like she's owned by the head of the family, where he decides how you vote. He will say, our family votes this way. I'm not saying it's wrong or it's right, but that having been said, it starts then with the empowerment of women, where you can make your own decisions. But for me, what I've seen is that we must first show up. We must first show up at the table that would take you to that presidential. It starts with the church, it starts with the local council, it starts with the national level. But if we're not there, what pool are we going to choose a woman president from?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry, we had one more question over here. Last one, guys. We've run out of time. I can't believe
We have
it.
the last one because we have.
In the meantime, in transition, speaking about simply showing up, I mean, here in America, we had Stacey Abrams, we had Kamala Harris, and now we do have her as president. And it shows, vice president, forgive me. It shows the ability of women power in order to move and make an action happen. But then it also shows Black women in particular and our ability to make things happen. So it's on the way.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. My name is Jacinta Abenyo. I am Kenyan, but working for working for the UN in Somalia. I'm very interested in the East African Chamber of Commerce, and this is an issue that really is very, very important. As guys were discussing here, I want we move a bit away from politics. I know, Mheshimiwa, politics is your food and your water and drink, but I'm thinking of so much that has been done in development. We have the Millennium Development Goals, number 3, which is talking about promotion of women and girls. Then we moved to sustainable development goals, which is, again, I think number 5 is talking about empowerment of women. I'm just wondering, and then we have national policies, we have papers, we have so much that has been done. We have funding from, even we have a UN organization, the UN Women, but still we are not there where we are supposed to be in terms of development, and given all that is being put in empowering the woman. Where are we going wrong? And how should we turn around the way we think, we plan, to be able to, make a change? Because it's talk, money, there's policies, there's, papers and a lot of things. Even we have the World Bank, the UN, but we are not reaching there. So maybe moving forward, I know at the point where we are, we may not make a big change, but moving forward, we need to do an audit of what has happened, what is not going on well, and how we should turn it around to have some action and to put women ahead. In the US, we expected a lot to see America produce like a woman president. Us in East Africa, we have tried, but we got through natural attrition president. But as long as like America does not produce a woman president, for sure, how do you expect Kenya to produce? So we really need to audit what we are doing and see how best to move forward.
Thank you. Thank you. Guys, unfortunately, we have come to the end. This has been a beautiful, spirited, authentic, organic conversation, and I appreciate all the input. In closing, just always remember, we are interdependent as human spirits, as sisters we are. We need each other. Remember to love first and leave judgment and preconceived notions for our Creator. A lot of that happens. We get into prejudging and all of those things as sisters instead of just loving up on each other. Keep your chest open to the sun and lead with kindness, even when it's hard and when it's inconvenient. Remember that hurt people. So it's always important for us to lead with love. We want to invite you all to our gala this evening. We hope you brought your dancing shoes. It's going to be a beautiful, rich cultural experience, and we do hope that you all will be attending. Would you please help me once again thank all of my panelists with a round of applause. Thank you, ladies. And this will conclude our Women Connecting Women panel. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Let's give him another round of applause, please.
Thank you.
We're gonna have a few refreshments back there. It's time to get back here. I don't like being on. We'll have some refreshments back there, and then we'll just go refreshen up and
come at 6 o'clock. This place will be opened up and reset. We'll have some celebration of Uganda independence. Honorable Kadaga will be able to do our traditional dance. She promised that. We're excited about that, Honorable.
Bye.
And accompanied with them by the ambassador, of course. And we'll have a fashion show. We have some really good things, a good entertainment. And finally, you will see all the men who have been crushed once more smile. So it's okay. I have felt the crushing myself, and it's all right. Thank you very much, women. We appreciate you. We love you. We respect you. Thank you.
We love you too.